Okay, Hungary have held France to a shock 1-1 draw in the Puskás Stadium in Budapest. Going into the game on paper, you expect France to win comfortably, easily, and considering Hungary lost 3-0 to Portugal and the amount of energy they put in that game against Portugal, losing late on, conceding 3 late goals. And it wasn't the case. The Hungarians obviously were second best in the first half, France creating a hatful of chances. And it takes a breakdown in play and a quick counter-attack, which the Hungarians always look threatening to do against Portugal. They did the same against France. Fiola driving a low, hard shot past Lloris, just literally off a quick counter-attack. Varane looked shaky, and he's been beaten for pace and movement, and no other players are closing him down. And it's 1-0 at half-time, right in injury time at the end of the first half. Absolutely stunning half-time scoreline. No one would have expected that. But this is, I think, the danger of what happened last night with England, what happened with Spain against Sweden. You're playing the team on paper expecting to win. That wasn't the case. Second half, France come out, you would expect an immediate response. They never really got going. Their goal by Griezmann comes from a long ball. From a Hungarian free kick. Lloris catches the ball, sees that the Hungarian line is quite high, and he's got Mbappe and Griezmann and Dembele up the field on a 3-on-2, just belts it long. Mbappe obviously gets the ball, finds the space, squares the ball across the box, ends up at Griezmann's feet via a deflection, and he scores a crucial goal, it turns out to be, because had that not gone in, Hungary would have won this game 1-0. And that would have been a shock victory. Even so, Hungary are still within a chance of getting out of the group. Depending on how the Germans play in their game and how the Germans played against France, Hungary could definitely upset Germany in Munich next week. But the French looked very flat and a bunch of individuals, as the Hungarians were playing as a team. They were a sum of their parts. Hard-working, energy. They were always, trying to mix up and break up the play. They looked threatening on the counter-attack. And the French looked flat, much like England last night. Much like, Belgium in the first half, looking a bit flat and a bit, they looked flat. Some of these big nations haven't quite turned up in the group stage. And with the way the group stage is now formatted, a big nation or big nations could go out. The Danes, for example, have lost both their opening games. Croatia have only got a point. England have drawn against Scotland and weren't overly convincing against Croatia. And now the French have dropped points themselves. And it really throws the group stage wide open. Portugal battled for 80 minutes to break this Hungarian side down. And winning a game on paper is one thing, but it's turning up, putting the effort in, and putting the energy in, and putting in a performance. And the French looked vulnerable. Defensively, they're vulnerable. And there are rumours with this French side that there is discontent in the camp, and the French like doing that implosion. England last night, for example, they won the game on paper, but they didn't turn up. They didn't put the performance in, and have now made their progress through this tournament more difficult. They're doing it the hard way, and they're not guaranteed to actually get out of the group, let alone win the group. Same with France. They were in second gear against Germany, but they never really got out of second gear against Hungary, and then the heat took its toll. And it's very hard to raise your game in such hot, humid conditions. We've seen this at previous tournaments where the heat does have an impact. And the Hungarians, for their draw, were very good money. They were well organised, they played for each other, whereas the French were a bunch of individuals trying to create something off the cuff. And I'm not sure how far if the French are going to win this tournament. Going in a tournament as one of the favourites, and after this performance, they look highly vulnerable. The only two teams really, for me, to have played to their strengths and played really well and entertainingly is the Italians and the Dutch. France don't look like world champions. Spain don't look like the team they were. England really flattering to deceive. The Croatians massively underperforming. The Germans looked really hopeless against the French in the first round of fixtures. We are seeing some surprising results. This is a very, very open tournament. And France's performance today, even though Griezmann scores yet another crucial goal, they could have lost that game. They've gone into the game expecting to win rather than earning the right to win. Hungary have gone into the game going, well, if we lose, we're out. We get a draw or sneak a win, our fate is still in our hands to a certain extent. And on that performance, I think the Hungarians, with their energy, their effort, their teamwork, their work ethic, can trouble the Germans. The French, I'm not sure they can beat the Portuguese, because that Portugal team is actually more than Cristiano Ronaldo. There are other players around him who can definitely contribute to Portugal, whereas a few years back it was Ronaldo carrying the team. Other players have come through in the last 4 or 5 years. So yeah, France going forward, I have some concerns. So it's opened the group wide open. It's opened up the second phase of the tournament now, because France aren't necessarily guaranteed to win the group, which would make their life a hell of a lot easier. And a big team will fall at the first hurdle, especially in this group. So there we go, the French misfiring. Hungary, well worth the draw, and could have actually snatched the win, in all honesty. I don't know what's the biggest shock. France failing to win or Hungary getting the draw, I don't know what's the biggest shock. But France underperformed today. Yes, the heat and the humidity may have had an impact, but not a fluid, competent, solid French performance. It was an underwhelming, misfiring French team there. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts below, and I'll have some more videos for you very, very soon.